Hello, everybody. This is gonna be a review. This maybe, but I only started is a double game. Like it is a remaster of Pretty Asylum and City with all of the DLC. I'm pretty sure all the DLC, probably all the DLC, pretty much.
We have an escape.
I have just so much to say about this game because it is absolutely fantastic, and it pays just a really immense amount of homage to the original. It's just really fucking good. They didn't really change too much in that the game is the same, and there's not really any new added features that I know of, at least. But it's just so well done. The graphics aren't so much of a huge improvement, although it has been, what has it been, 8 years? Yeah, it's been about 8 years since this game came out. Yeah, it came out in 2009, it's 2018 right now, so yeah. This game came out 9 years ago, and it had the best graphics of literally that time period, pretty much. This was like crazy good. Damn it. Yeah, but the game is just good. I can't stress that enough. This is a fan-fucking-tastic game. The story is, I would say it's the second best story out of all the Arkham games. I thought Arkham Origins was the best story. I'm not even gonna lie. That is my second favorite Arkham game. And, you know, actually, surprisingly, Arkham Asylum is my least favorite Arkham game, but I like them all. I really do. Yeah. Fuck, I gotta stop getting off track. So, as this is a remaster, and it's a pretty bare remaster at that, and I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just kind of bare. They didn't really add much. It does include all of the DLC, even though Return to Arkham didn't have, or the first two Arkham games didn't have an immense amount of DLC. Basically just the normal stuff for the Arkham games, or the first two. You know, it had some character packs. Arkham City had some character packs, but the only DLC that I can remember for this game, Arkham Asylum, is the Plays the Joker pack. That was it. Yeah. Eventually, with time, they did start to release many more packs, and Arkham Knight actually had quite a fucking bunch. So much so that it actually had a season pass. And Origins had quite a few too, but not as many as not as many as Knight did, because Knight had like 6 or something story packs, and like just so much fucking DLC. A lot of it was good too, which is, you know, a good thing. But back to the actual game, Arkham Asylum. Being that it is the first Arkham game, it is easily the most bare of all of them. It just doesn't have as much to do. And it could have a lot more, but since it was released in, you know, its time of fucking 2009, a lot of fantastic games that were released that year. 2009 was a pretty bare year, as far as I can remember, of games. and Arkham Asylum is easily the highlight of that year. But damn. All right. But with its bareness, it did have just a lot to do, especially for a game that came out in 2009. It had the collectibles of, of course, Riddler trophies, which weren't, immensely fantastic. There's over 200 in this game alone. So imagine this time. So you can easily imagine as time went on, there were just so many more. But yeah, the good thing about Riddler challenges is that yeah, the good thing about the Riddler trophies is that they weren't just fucking like collectibles. They weren't just normal shit. Like similar in a sense to how Uncharted, in Uncharted, I think it was 2, gaining collectibles would give you money to buy stuff like in game. It would give you this sort of in-game currency. Damn it. Shit. But yeah, it would give you a sort of in-game currency to purchase things like skins or different weapons that you could select and use. There was so much that those would give you. But yeah, and it's the same with the Riddler trophies. The Riddler trophies give you concept art, character trophies, and most of all, and most, I guess, I wouldn't say dynamically, but most notably, they would give you these challenge maps, which, like I'm playing right now, are certain challenges from the original story that, there were certain challenges from the original story that you had to go through. Some of them were, well, not all of them were challenges from the story, but many of them are challenges from the story that you had to go through to progress. Like, especially this one. This was one of the first stealth missions in the game. And the thing about the Batman stealth missions is that they are extremely dynamic. And they're dynamic in the sense that there are so many different ways to take down these henchmen, and there's so many different ways to, distract them or stun them, and there's just so much to do in these missions. But easily, the best part about this game is actually a tie between two things. The regular, normal physical fights, where, you're just punching and kicking and shit. Well, it's not just punching and kicking and shit, but it's the actual fights in and of themselves, and the story. This was a major player in both story and fighting. Not every, but many games nowadays have tried so hard to mimic this game's impeccable fighting style. It's extremely dynamic. And over time, as you progress through the game, you it just gets better and better and better. You know, you eventually unlock gadgets and just shit to use, but you also unlock combo moves and armor, which, you know, can really just make a difference in life and death. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. It starts off with Batman taking Joker to Arkham Asylum, the now, you know, very well-known prison of the, well, first off the Arkham universe, but also the comic universe. And very slowly, eventually Batman learns, or Batman, you know, figures out, he can feel it, that something is up, something's wrong. You know, he gave himself up too easily, and eventually, maybe 2 or 3 minutes into the game, you know, you learn that Joker had a plan all along, and that was to basically take over Arkham Island, and from there create an immense army of Titan-infused soldiers. Titan is a newly introduced addition to Batman in general with the Arkham universe, and that it is a derivative of Venom, the same chemical that Bane uses to power up and just basically kick ass. But it is single use. You only need to take it once, and you know, it just really fucks you up, man. It increases the size of most of your body, but it's really just deformed and really fucking ugly looking. It's just, ugh. That's basically the best way to describe it. It just makes you look fucking stupid. Like, not stupid in the sense that it was designed, like, you know, in the game it was designed poorly, but it's just, you got like bone spikes coming out of you and shit like that. It's really fucking gross. But after Batman learns of this Titan formula, this army fucking creating chemical or whatever that just creates behemoths out of normal men, he uses his time being stuck on Arkham Island to locate this formula and make sure that Joker cannot make this army. It's a lot more complex than the way I'm describing it, because I'm not that good at describing things. But it is just, wow. Now, over time, we're introduced to a lot more characters, many new, but mostly returning. Or is it? I don't remember quite, but I'm pretty sure most of the characters are returning. As you can see, there's a lot of different character bios, and not all of these characters appear in the game, but many do. Notable appearances are Bane, who is the first Titan-like boss fight, but not quite Titan boss fight. But yeah, Bane is one of the first boss fights, and one of the most important in that it teaches you how to fight Titan enemies. I I guess, dynamically than the very first boss fight with that experimental Titan. With that experimental Titan goon, which dies of heart failure. Poison Ivy appears in an extremely important part of the story, and that is why across the island, I'm not sure if it's still that, yep, it is, you can see all these huge like vines and shit, and this happens maybe 3/4 of the way through the story, but yeah. Riddler appears with, of course, Riddler's challenge, Zaz, Croc, Quinn, Commissioner Gordon, Joker, and of course Batman. Now there are a couple of more that I wasn't able to name, as I, for one, don't remember them, and for two, I just don't have their bios. You have to collect the Riddler trophies to unlock those, unfortunately. But I knew there was one up here. Yeah. But eventually, once the formula is destroyed, you figure out that there is a sort of secret lab where Titan is being created on the island. It is in the botanical gardens of the island, and that is, for one, where you find the lab, and for two, where you first meet, or where you first fight Ivy. Or basically just where you fight Ivy, because you only fight it once, of course. But yeah, and once you figure out where this lab is, you go in there and you fight 2 Titan-infused enemies in one of the more difficult boss fights of the game. But the first time you do it is definitely the hardest. The second and third and fourth, because you're going to want to play this game over again. It is that good. But the second and third and fourth times you do it, or however many times, are so much easier than the first, because you actually know what to do. But it's not quite as dynamic of a boss fight as, say, you know, just the normal fights, but it is still a good fight. Many of the boss fights in this game weren't able to be as, I guess I would say, dynamic.
It's the Enigma Show.
What? But it was basically just not, the fights weren't able to be as dynamic and as just well thought out as, say, the Mr. Freeze fight. That's a perfect example. The Mr. Freeze fight from Arkham City, which is easily one of the most dynamic and one of the best boss fights in Arkham history. It's not my favorite though. Deathstroke from Arkham Origins. It's easily made so good. But back to Arkham Asylum. After you defeat the 2 Titan thugs, though, you have to go to Ivy, and you try to figure out a way to counteract Titan. And eventually you do, and eventually you go into Killer Croc's lair to find a venom, a plant that creates venom under Arkham Island to basically counteract Titan's abilities, per se.
Spring was a turning point, a new beginning, a glorious realization of my true destiny. My family's killer perished in an unfortunate accident. These animals cannot be cured. Like dogs, they only respond to discipline. And if that fails, then I was afraid that these accidents would have to continue.
That was the Chronicle of Arkham. I'll explain this later. Back to the story. Once you finish in Killer Croc's lair, in one of the best stealth missions in the game, although it doesn't quite seem like a stealth mission at first. Ah, yes, this is where we first meet Ivy, but I won't explain that. It's more of a bare explanation of the story. I guess you could say that, yeah. But yeah, and once you're done in Killer Croc's lair, you just... Shit, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, you then go... Or no, once you're done in Croc's lair... I don't know who that is. But yeah, once you're done in Croc's lair, you exit, you know, basically that area, and you synthesize a Titan, basically a Titan stopper, I guess you could say, that counteracts the Titan formula. And once you've made it, Ivy's plants, because Ivy was injected with Titan by the Joker, Ivy's plants destroy your on-island Batcave, because Batman, for some reason, has a Batcave on fucking Arkham Island. He said it's always good to be prepared, but I think that's a little more paranoia than preparedness. But, you know, that's subject to opinion. Now, once Ivy has been injected with a Titan, you go to her and you have to, you try at the very least to stop her. And eventually, one of the pretty good boss fights of the game happens, and you basically, it looks like she dies, but she comes back eventually.
Does your head hurt, Batman? Understandable. You're no match for me.
What the fuck? What? But yeah, after you beat her, it looks like she dies, but not quite, because she appears in Arkham City and Arkham Knight. Spoiler alert, though, she dies in Arkham Knight. Oh, nothing there. But yeah, after you fight her, you exit the botanical gardens, and you start to hear fireworks. Eventually, you learn that Joker has a little party planned for you, and it doesn't go well. It really doesn't go well. First off, you have to fight a bunch of just, you know, regular henchmen, nothing too hard. But eventually he does release 2 Titan thugs on you along with all those henchmen, and that is relatively difficult. But the real kicker is, eventually he injects you with Titan. Now once he learns that Titan doesn't affect you, or, you know, basically you're too fucking strong for it, because you're Batman, duh. But yeah, so eventually, since he learns that he can't control you with Titan, he injects himself with it. It basically looks like he kills himself, and I believe that's what he was trying to do, but he doesn't. God damn it, whatever. And eventually, he wakes up. It only takes like 10 seconds, but still. He wakes up and he turns into a fucking huge ass Titan goon. And the final boss of the game, which is kind of a disappointment, but it wasn't an awful boss fight, as a lot of people make it out to be. An awful boss fight is like that fucking is like that pushover of a first boss in the very start of the game. It's not terrible, but it's just kind of eh. And I feel that they could have done better for, you know, the opening boss. But yeah, that's basically the story. I'm sorry that it was explained so poorly, because this is a live stream, because I don't have a fucking recording thing. But whatever, yeah. But yeah, that's basically the story. Now the other just grade A fucking feature of this game is the fighting. Now, as you saw in the little challenge that I did, it's very punchy, kicky, up closey. And there are very, very many games that have tried so fucking hard to mimic it, and none have just none have done it. A really notable example is the Amazing Spider-Man games. It was just really a fucking bare version of this game's fighting. It had the same, you know, punching and countering and shit, but it was just so fucking bare. Because that was really all you could do, was fucking punch and kick, and sometimes there were special enemies that you had to use seismic web blasters for. But it was just so, you know? There's something through here right now. Oh. Oh, it was just that. Okay. But yeah. The stealth parts in this game add even more of just dynamicness and amazing gameplay mechanics and elements, and a really good use for all of these little gadgets that you have, except for, I guess I would say, the cryptographic sequencer, the line launcher, and the remote control batarang, yeah. But the batarang, the tri-batarang, explosive gel, the bat claw, and the sonic batarang are all very useful in the challenges. They're not challenges. Yeah, still the challenges. Still the stealth parts. You can make such a good fucking use of them. And the environment is also something that you have to make good use of. It's just so fucking dynamic. And you're probably going to hear me use the word dynamic a lot more times. But that's just because these games, these Arkham games, are immensely dynamic. There's just so much. But something that's a little less about the, I guess I would say, game in and of itself is the graphics. This game has such amazing graphics. So good, in fact, that fuck, what was I gonna say? Yeah. So much, in fact, that with the remaster, there was barely any work that needed to be done on the graphics. They were still really good. So fucking good. They were the best graphics of the years from 2009 to 2012, almost. The only games that could really rival how good they were is Borderlands, and they don't even have the same fucking graphical style. The environments are immensely well done, and with the new remaster, the graphics are better, but I wouldn't say they're much better. They're just better. It adds a little more flair. Flair especially. Look at that lens. Look at that lens flare, bitch. But yeah, the rain, especially, it wasn't quite as pronounced, and it wasn't quite as good in the first game. The cape, which is a very, important aspect of fucking Batman, because it's, Batman, duh. But the cape doesn't, it doesn't really look much better, but it doesn't really look much worse. And I feel like it was programmed a little bit odd. Yeah, odd. I feel like it was just programmed a little bit odd into the game, and it doesn't quite work. Not in the sense that it doesn't work as a gameplay mechanic, but the visuals aren't quite as there as they were back in 09. Damn, I guess I got this one already. Well, shit. But yeah, the graphics aren't such a major step up, but they're better. They're better. And I would say Arkham City has more of a graphical change, but Arkham Asylum is still welcome. It's still good. And I feel like if this would have come out, 2 or 3 years in the future, I feel like they could have made the graphics immensely better. Similar in a sense to the time frame in between Arkham Origins and Arkham Knight. There's such a huge step up from the 3 games that were released on the previous gen consoles and current gen. Arkham Knight is just wow. That's all I can say about it. It's just wow. Another thing that I like a lot about this game is how compact it is, and yet it's still pretty open world. Well, it is still open world, yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. It's still open world, and yet it's pretty compact. Which, of course, that is mostly due to the limitations of 2009, and that the technology wasn't quite there yet. But it still is welcome. It still works for the for the Asylum in and of itself. The size is just perfect for fitting everything that needs to be there. Like, all of these certain buildings and the interior of the buildings especially as well, which just looks so fantastic. They're extremely fleshed out, and there's so much there. But yeah, everything just comes together so well in this game. Another thing that is, I wouldn't say iffy, but it just doesn't meet quite the standard of the games after it, being that this is of course the first one, is the characters. The characters they're good. They're good. I'll say that. But they aren't the best. They could use a bit more work. Yeah, they could use a bit more work.
Hi, diddle diddle. I'm losing patience. You're cheating. You must be.
But yeah, the characters in this game are good, but they could be better. They're just not quite as fantastic as Arkham Knight. Easily had some of the most dynamic, even better, Arkham Origins. I'm not gonna specify specifically the
I took a walk around.
I'm not gonna specify like the bosses in that game, but there was a little more flesh to characters like Alfred, or Batman in and of himself. He was explained more, not quite in the sense of his backstory, but they gave him more personality than in this game. There are some jokes between characters, and there's some laughs and whatever.
I need to find another way down.
There was more in the next games, but there was enough in these first two, or no, in this first one. One character that I really just don't quite understand in this game, well, I wouldn't say don't quite understand, but just don't like as much as the next games, is Oracle. Now, I know she's not supposed to be quite fleshed out character, because she's the person in the chair, as explained by Ned in Spider-Man Homecoming. If you haven't seen the movies, you need to. So good, especially Ned. It's one of the best characters. But yeah, she's mostly just there for the tech support, but I do still like her.
What do you call the detective who is only halfway to the end? Loser?
Yeah, back to what I was saying. She is mostly just the guy in the chair, or the person in the chair, the girl in the chair, whatever. Oh, sorry about that. But she just could have been so much more.
Can you defeat a mind such as mine?
And the games after this one did a good job of making her character better. Most notably Arkham Knight, because I don't want to spoil it. Yeah. Just play Arkham Knight and you'll see what I mean. Play this game and then Arkham Knight, and you'll definitely see what I mean about Oracle being better. Because while she is good in this game, and she's pretty cool, and that moment with Commissioner Gordon especially, the whole Scarecrow thing just isn't quite... Well, no, that is good, but it just isn't quite as fantastic as no, it isn't quite as dynamic, her character, as in Arkham Knight. Every character is basically made so much better in Arkham Knight, except for, I guess I would say, the Joker, because nobody wanted the Joker in Arkham Knight. I didn't. I know you didn't. I know your mom didn't. I know my mom didn't. I know nobody did. Basically. But yeah. And I guess I would say the final thing I want to talk about is Scarecrow. There's only 3 Scarecrow missions in this game, but they are some of the best and most fucking cool dynamic boss fights ever. I wish I could show you guys one, I wish I was just at that point in the story. But I'm not, and I don't have any clips of it. Now, if I had more clips of just this story, or of, you know, all of this shit, I feel like that would be, you know, a lot better of a review. But this isn't called a very bad this isn't called a very bad review for nothing. Now the thing is about the Scarecrow missions, that's really one of the one things that nobody's really tried to copy about these games, the Arkham games. That's basically just the thing that nobody's tried to copy. And I'm glad, you know, that belongs to the Arkham games. That is their thing. Well, it's just one of their things. Or at least Arkham Asylum. But that is, you know, one of Arkham Asylum's, just one of its things. It owns that. That's, you know, one of its biggest points. Or its biggest, you know, best features. Was the Scarecrow battles. They're just so good. But basically, they all start off with you being gassed with, of course, you know, Scarecrow's fear gas at some important part of the story. Planned, I'm pretty sure they were planned by Joker to slow you down, so that you, of course, couldn't, you know, fuck with his plans. But yeah, they all start with you being gassed by Scarecrow, and you know, they all sort of change up the environment to make it just a lot different from, you know, what it's normally supposed to be, and what is normal in this game. Now, over time, the boss fights just really consist of staying out of Scarecrow's death gaze. That's a good fucking word for it, or a good phrase. Death gaze. Because if he sees you, he'll kill you instantly. No way around it. So you have to use the environment that you're given to hide from him and get to the end, which is it's a bat symbol, or a bat signal, which is, you know, of course, the giant light in the sky with Batman's logo in it, or the bat symbol. But basically, once you activate it and point it at him, that's the end of the mission. And the way I'm explaining it is, of course, really bad, because I don't have footage of it, and I'm just not, you know, the best at explaining things. But still, it's fucking good. All of those fights are fucking good. Especially the third one, because while it is pretty similar to the first two, the ending of it, which involves fighting a skeleton version of a Titan goon who isn't quite as strong, because once you begin a combo, and once you get over 3 hits, which is, you know, starting a combo in this game, but once you get over 3 hits,
Are you up to the challenge?
once you get over 3 hits, all of the skeletons just disintegrate. I wouldn't say disintegrate. Disintegrate? What? No, disintegrate. But all of the skeletons just fall apart after, you know, you get a combo going. But the Titan thug is, I wouldn't say difficult, but it's a Titan thug, you know. You just kind of gotta watch out for him, man. And it's a good part of the fight, but the beginning and the way it opens up is so fucking good. Holy shit. shit, it's good. It starts off with you thinking that your game is fucking crashing. That's what it starts off as. It's like the screen starts locking up and you start seeing like these like just pixels that are out of place and shit, and the screen starts glitching. But then once it is finished with that, once it's finished glitching out, it cuts to the quote-unquote start of the game. It's not actually the start of the game, though. It's basically what Scarecrow wants you to think the start of the game was. And that you're fucking... Holy shit, it's just so fucking cool. It's switched to where Batman is in the fucking trolley, or gurney, the gurney. It starts off with Batman in the gurney and the Joker, driving or just walking with him. It's the start of the game, but the roles are reversed. Oh no, but right before that, you see in the sky, it's the bat signal. It's the bat signal, like it was in the start of the game, but it's not quite there. The bat is upside down. The bat is upside down, and there's two eyes to make a frowny face. Like, it sort of looks like Scarecrow's sort of face, I guess you'd say. It's not quite there, but yeah. It's similar to the start of the game, but where the Joker is the hero and Batman is the villain. It's fucking cool, man. And then it cuts to Joker walking along with Batman in the gurney. And basically, once you get to the part where Joker scares the doctor in the first part of the game while he's in the gurney, Scarecrow is the doctor. And Scarecrow says he's all yours, I'm pretty sure. Something like that to Joker, and you get shot in the head. With the perspective of Batman in the gurney. You're looking at him first person. It switches from you walking as Joker. Now, it brings you to a death screen that says use the middle stick to dodge Joker's gunfire. Middle stick? Of course, if you use a controller most of the time. Because who the fuck is going to play an Arkham game on a computer? Stupid. But if you look down at your controller, you only have two sticks. Which one's the middle one? Basically, the only controller I can think of with a stick in the middle is either the Atari controller, which was, the old, joystick and button, or the N64, which had 3 sticks, I think it was 3 sticks, I'm pretty sure. Something like that. But yeah. So then, once you press retry, it brings you to a scene of Bruce Wayne's grave. It's not actually real, of course, but you punch your way out of the grave. You just kind of get out of it. That's all I can really say. You just get out of the grave and you get out of the fucking grave. Okay, that's not the end of it. That was really weird. I don't know why I said it like that. Oh, yeah, because I got off track. But yeah, then you jump out of the grave, and not quite jump, but you get out of the grave, and you start you start a Scarecrow mission. But yeah, this one's easily the hardest, and it has the most sort of difficult parts that require you to think a little more. But it's the best. It's just so good. And then, of course, as I was talking about the end, you fight a bunch of skeleton dudes, and then you fight the Titan dude, and you have to. There's 3 phases to it. The fight with the skeleton dudes, and you just have to hit. You have to hit 3 bat signals that Scarecrow is standing under. You have to hit those 3, and then you have to hit one in the middle. You have to hit one on the left, one on the right, and then one in the middle. And then once you hit the one in the middle, the fight's over. And that was the last Scarecrow thing. But eventually, that leads into going into Killer Croc's lair with the whole Venom thing and all that. And you see Scarecrow about to dump fear toxin into Gotham's water. Because fucking Scarecrow's lair is almost directly connected to, Gotham's fucking water. I don't know why. I don't know why, man, but it's just the way it is. But yeah. But Scarecrow is pulled under by Killer Croc after Croc tries to eat him, but Batman activates the shock collar on Croc's neck. So he is pulled under with Croc, and you never see him again in the game. But, most people know the whole Arkham City Scarecrow boat. And, of course, Scarecrow being the supporting villain in Arkham Knight. Because Arkham Knight is the main villain, of course, no shit. Yeah, back to it. Or, you know what, that's pretty much the end of it. But basically, I would recommend this game to literally anyone who wants a good story, and good gameplay, and good graphics, and good everything. Because this game is just fantastic. It hits the nail right on the head. Everything is so good. Except for the characters, that's a little lacking, but still. And everything is everything is built upon in the next couple of games. Everything gets better over time. Except in Origins, that one had a bit of a lackluster story, and it shouldn't have featured Joker, but still. It did serve its purpose story-wise, and the gameplay is really good in that game. But yeah, I definitely recommend the Arkham games to every fucking person out there who wants a good game and loves Batman, because these games pay homage to him fantastically. They're so fucking good. Overall, I would give this one an 8 out of 10. Arkham City, I would give an 8.5. Knight, I would give a 7.5. And Origins, I would give a 7.5. Well, no, Origins, I would give a 7 too. Yeah. Because they're all good. Origins is easily the most lacking, though. It has really good gameplay and graphics and that shit, but its story was just so bad compared to the ones made by Rocksteady. Most people know this, but if you didn't, Origins is made by WB Games, and WB Games has a new game on the way called Arkham Insurgency, which I think is going to be really good, and I trust WB in making it a good game, but I really want them to just, build on, I just want them to build on you know, the story, especially, so much. I want the story to be much better than both Origins and Night. I want it to be like Asylum and City, because those easily have the best story. But yeah, so I guess this is gonna be the end. See you guys later. Have a good one. You know, share with friends, like, come watch that video, subscribe, all that good shit. I will see you later. Goodbye.